Took place in that little lunch. You like that? That little special session? You guys getting a lot today? Introduction of Michael Jackson, the writers, the producers. How many of you guys? Okay. You guys gleaned some knowledge from these people this morning? Okay, great. Well, again, the best thing you could be doing is digging in, putting all your focus right here. These guys are like $1,000 an hour, believe me. So you'll never be able to afford these people, and that's why we're here to bring it to you. So value what you're getting so you really understand. These are million-dollar ideas. There are people related to all of us that are going out there making millions of dollars on these ideas. So without further ado, one of my oldest associates, and he says I'm his first client, so we go way back 30, 35 years now. It must be around 1990 or something. But he is an amazing entertainment attorney. He's a manager. He's worked with the likes of the DMXs and members of Guns N' Roses and the Eagles, and his list goes on and on and on. He's a dear friend of IES. He's here every year. We love him to death. Please give it up for Ben McLean. And you just heard the warm-up. I didn't even know we were going to have this gentleman as your little warm-up there. So your lunch mate here is, again, legendary manager. He's managed Kiss. He's managed the Beach Boys. He's managed Warrant. And I know there's other names. He's got to throw some at me. But anybody that's managed Kiss and the Beach Boys, I could stop right there. These are two of the biggest iconic groups in the history of mankind. But lots of information. He's in there in the trenches right now working new acts, like we all are, and we're proud to have him. Thank you so much for coming out. He's rushed into a meeting with Randy Jackson from American Idol and all that. Give it up for Eddie Winrick. And last but not least, he got here early. He's been soaking it up. He's been a friend of IES since the early days. He knows we're very serious about giving you guys top-level speakers, knowledge that's just like off the charts. And again, you can't buy this kind of information. There's no book. There's nothing on YouTube that's going to give you all this stuff. We'll get it to you in droves. So we're going to go from the managers panel into an artist panel, and we're going to be talking about touring. And we've got a couple special inductions, some guests here, and then we're going to take a little break and have some showcases tonight at 8 after 7. So you don't need to go over there early. After 7, we're going to reconvene over there. Another big day tomorrow. Check your schedules. Tomorrow we're at AMP, Sunday we're at the songwriting school, so lots going on. But this gentleman has managed a lot of legendary artists, a lot of big sellers that you know from the hip hop world. He has been mentored by the best of them. Ever heard of a little group called Run DMC? Jam Master Jay, I mean, you know, from Run to DMC, these guys changed the world. They were the first hip hop group to be on MTV, to be on the cover of Rolling Stone, to be playing arenas, to get shoe endorsements, all of that stuff. And he came up through the best of them. And we love him to death. He is the manager of Bone Thugs and Harmony, a lot of great artists. And now you've probably seen him on the documentary for a legendary producer who's making a big comeback right now. You know him from his big hits with Dr. Dre, and I mean, the list goes on from Fat Joe to Chris Brown, from, you know, I can't even get into it. He might mention a few of them, but he manages the legendary producer Scott Storch, who, again, could fill your notebook right there, the hits he's been involved in. And he took a wrong turn and made a few bad moves, and he entrusted this gentleman over anyone else to bring him back to the top. We're proud to have him. Please give it up for Steve Lobel. Look at this panel, guys, right there. Hundreds of years experience working with legendary artists, and we're all yours. And again, my background's been everything from artist management to marketing, promotion, distribution, running concerts, events, and tours. So we got a lot of knowledge here, and we want to have a very vibrant conversation about growing and managing talent. So again, I'm assuming everybody in here is talent. Everybody's an artist or a producer or working with talent. Everybody is here to learn not only how to get a great manager, but what a manager does and what a manager doesn't do. And when it's too early, and how you might be able to gain the attention of a manager, and why that manager might be saying no now, but down the road, they might say yes, what they look for. So why don't we go down the line a little bit on that. Ben, you're the new one here. We just heard from Eddie a little bit, but Ben, why don't you talk about, as far from the legal side to the manager side, when is the right time to find a manager, and define what a manager does and what they don't do?
Well, I started in this business. I came out from Kansas 30 years ago. I wanted to be a manager, and I was for a couple of years, and I worked for a couple big management companies. I eventually just moved over to the legal side of things, because being a manager is tough. I mean, it's a full-time job. So if you find a really good manager, you should, thank your lucky stars that somebody believes in you that much, and you need to trust them and be loyal to them too. That's a big part of the business too. But I mean, managers do a lot of different things, but I think you want to find somebody that can help get you from down here to the next level and then the next level, because artists should be worried about making the art and the music, and you need a business partner, essentially. You can do the creative. The manager's supposed to have connections and know-how, a vision to help you get from point A to point B. So I think you need to look for somebody like that, and also somebody that's really passionate about you, and maybe, some like what's the one that Bruce Floor and the Dave Matthews Management Company, that
Red Light.
Yeah, they have like 250 artists on the roster, and they have 100 different managers. To me, it's like, not that that's a bad thing, but I think it's too big. I think it's better to maybe focus on a smaller situation where somebody can really focus on you and give you the attention that you need at whatever level you're at, because it changes as you go up the food chain, But I think artists need to also know that you have to work just as hard or harder than the manager. It's not fair to bring somebody on and just expect them to do everything for you, which I think happens a lot of times. It's maybe a misunderstanding. I think a lot of artists just assume when a manager enters the picture, they're going to do all the heavy lifting for you. But it really is a partnership, and you have to both work together as hard as you can. And then when you have success, you should stick with those people if they're doing a good job for you. So, but on the legal side of things, I work with a lot of great managers and a lot of young up-and-coming managers, and they all have different qualities, but they all love music, bottom line. And these days it helps, like Eddie was saying, to kind of be on the cutting edge of technology, because things are just changing daily. It's just mind-boggling, really. So whoever your manager is, they really should have some kind of knowledge of kind of new technology, digital knowledge.
Yeah. Steve, why don't you talk about, again, when it's time for a manager, or what you look for in a client?
First of all, I want to thank you for doing this every year consistently. It's not easy to do it and get the people to come out, so give it up for Jay. He always hits me last minute. We always talk about this, and I always run.
So Steve, jump in.
I was showing him text messages from Scott Storch, Crazy Going Early, like they need more time, but he tries his hardest. So again, give it up for him. And salute these gentlemen up here, because this game is not easy to stay relevant. I feel like I'm a dinosaur, but I'm fossil fuel because I stay relevant. I've been doing this over 30 years, and I come in the game through the late great Jam Master Jay and Run DMC, and I've had a long career in the hip hop game, from discovering Nipsey Hussle and bringing Scott Storch back to his life, and cleaning up Steven Adler from Guns N' Roses, and working with 3 6 Mafia and Fat Joe and Big Pun and Eazy and so on and so forth. But the management position, I didn't know when I was signed up to be a manager that I was going to be a babysitter. I didn't know that I was going to be a loan shark. I didn't know I was going to be a psychiatrist. I didn't know I was going to be a therapist. Are you filming this, buddy? Are you filming this for our We Work in University? You're not filming with the big camera. Get the big camera going. We're doing a whole We Work in University, so when Jay said that you can't find this stuff online, you're going to be able to find stuff about the music business and managers and lawyers online. That's what we've been filming for. I don't know why he didn't film, but again, I didn't know I was really going to be a psychiatrist or a therapist, really. I didn't know how to deal with baby mothers and wives and children, and loan money to artists when they going through bad times, or cleaning them up when they're on drugs, and being a babysitter. To be honest with you, I salute managers that work hard, because I've been a manager for a long time, and I feel like 20% ain't even enough sometimes, because we're really working our asses off. And I'm gonna drop some gems for you guys, if anybody out there is being a manager. I've done everything in the music industry from A to Z, so I know every aspect of it, from publishing, from legal, tour management, royalties, A&R, management, and so on and so forth. And that's just the good thing of when you love what you do. You gotta love what you do and have the passion to do what you do. And anybody out here is trying to be a manager or anything in life, just trying to get in the music business, I'm glad that you guys said it's a music business, because I was sitting there listening to you guys, right? I'm not in the music industry. The music industry to me is fake. It's a bunch of clowns and bullshitters, and the new generation is cloud chasers and stuff. I'm in the music business because we have bills to pay. And we work hard and we want to get paid for what we do, just like we fighting for our clients to get paid. So I'm in the music business. And if you're in the music business, and I saw some people raise their hand in the producers, how many producers are out here? Like if you're a music producer and you don't know about ASCAP or BMI or CSAC, and you don't know about royalties and publishing splits, you're really not in the music business. You just, producing just to produce. You need to know about the music business. If you're an artist and you don't know about merchandising and ancillary rights and what a team really means, a team means together everyone achieves more. You can't do it by yourself. There's no one up here that did it by themselves. So you need to learn the music business. For future, managers, anybody trying to really get in the game, like, never take no for an answer. If you're a manager for your client, never take no for an answer. You're gonna be told no a lot, but don't take no for an answer. I'm from New York. I'm not taking no for an answer. I know where I'm from. I'm from Queens, New York. I'll never forget where I come from. And we get a lot of no's, but I'm not taking the no's. I'm just being totally blunt with you. I'm far from cocky. I'm confident that I know who I am as a man. Common sense, which is not common. Follow up. Like, we meet people every day. You gotta be able to follow up with them and get the business done. And that's the most biggest thing I feel is following up. Communication. You gotta be able to communicate with people and talk to people and deal with people and respond to emails and text messages and set up phone calls. You gotta have a structure in your life. Have an end game. Your artist is gonna have an end game. You're not just doing this for the year. You're trying to plan for 10 years from now. Organization. You gotta be organized. Look, there's not many people here in this room, but I feel like less is more. If you're an artist or a producer, less is more. You don't gotta put out so much music and so much, songs. Quality is always over quantity. And then, money, everybody says they doing it. Oh, I need to get this money to buy a chain or buy a watch or a car. Like, no, don't do it for the money. This Rolex don't make me, my car don't make me. What makes me is my integrity. You can't buy my integrity. I'm not gonna sell my integrity for a check. And I have principles and morals, and a lot of people out here right now are selling their souls to look famous or to be cool or get followers. Don't do it for that. Because there's a saying that I say that money comes and goes, but history stays. If you can continue to make history, you can make money. Everybody told me I was wasting my time with Scott Storch, and I said, how can I be wasting my time with Scott Storch? Okay, at $100 million, he lost it. He was on cocaine, he lost it. These guys mentioned a lot of rock guys. A lot of them are on heroin, and crack, and cocaine. Steve Allen from Guns N' Roses, I got him off all that and saved his life. And you would never think an urban guy like me saved a rock and roll legend's life, but it's in his book. So when they told me that, I was like, you guys must be clowns. Talent never leaves. If you're a talented person, it don't matter if you had a hit record 10 years ago. You can make another hit record 10 years from now and still come back. And, a big guy in the music industry, Monty Lippman, he said, Steve, Scott Storch, talent never leaves. So I took Scott, I cleaned him up, and I just went hard and was kicking a lot of doors in the industry because they didn't want to work with him no more because he had burnt them or he got coked up. And at the end of the day, my relationships opened that door and got him back. And 3 years later, he's back, he's relevant, he's working with all the young, hot artists. And that's what I needed to do, not put him with the old artists, the young, relevant artists, so I could deal with the new A&Rs, with the labels, the new, entertainment lawyers that are working with the new guys, and even legendary attorneys that are representing the young guys who know how to stay active, and label presidents, and now we're back. But I never took no for an answer. When I discovered Nipsey Hussle, they told me I was wasting my time. He looks like Snoop Dogg, he's a Rolling 60 Crip gang member. Every kid now thinks they're a gang member. Every kid out here, thinks they're, putting tattoos on their face. So I went with my gut, and Nipsey's 14 years later, which again, it's a marathon, not a sprint. Nothing happens overnight. He's winning. So anybody out there think it's gonna happen overnight? No, it doesn't happen overnight. You gotta put the hard work in, and hard work really pays off. So hopefully I gave you some gems and some knowledge. Thank you.
By the way, who's got a yellow Kia? Anybody got a yellow Kia? You're about to get towed. Somebody's blocking somebody with a yellow Kia. Okay, that's you, Jeff. Okay, Eddie, jump in there. Again, you've seen it over the years, the development of a manager. how has it changed? How do you see the manager's role today?
I don't think it's changed much at all. I think it's still the same. You still got to believe in what you got and what you want to do and how you're going to get there. You still got to kick the door down, just like Steve was talking about. So I don't think it's changed that much. You know, I just think that the opportunity for an indie is like when I first started, when there was a lot of indies in the majors, and I feel like the same thing can happen now. You know, when we were kids, you know, every kid could start a band, and you know, they could get some instruments and go play in a garage. I think the opportunity is there again for an independent label, publisher, producers, all of the above. You just got to get somebody to pay attention to what you have, and you know, like you said, the tape can't lie, and you got to have the goods, and that's the strive that you got to go for. You got to spend the time getting the product to where it needs to be.
Yeah, very, very key. Now, I always say that, again, like we talked earlier, you guys weren't part of that lunch session, that the hardest thing to find is a great manager and a booking agency or an agent. And, you know, once you have a name, it's easier to book you. But to try and develop that demand, because all an agent is doing is saying, hey, I got so-and-so, and the promoter's saying, I don't even know who that is. You haven't built the value yet, so getting that agent is very difficult. But a manager, again, is equally difficult because, again, they want to see you have a level of development. They want to see the demand growing, you know. And obviously, once something really takes off, there's a lot of managers that come around, and he'd probably tell you the sharks come out, you know, anytime somebody got a hit. But, you know, more importantly, a lot of people want to jump in the party once it's already done. Like I always say, the champagne shower with Kobe or LeBron. Everybody wants to be a part of that. But put in the millions of hours it takes to get to that, to make the team, get in the league, get to the playoffs, come to the championship and win the Super Bowl. Nobody wants to put that work in these days. And that's what it takes. You got to love the work.
You know what it is? I'm a leader, I'm not a follower. And most of the people in the industry are followers. They want to jump on the bandwagon after. And if you believe in something, it doesn't matter what everybody else says that that's not going to work. Tell them, no problem, thank you, but I believe in it. You go with your gut, it's going to happen. It's numerous amount of times it happened for me when everybody told me I was wasting my time, and then everybody blew up, and they want to jump on the bandwagon. Same with Scott, no one wanted to deal with him. Now the phone's ringing, because he just put out this Vivo documentary, and he's telling his story and stuff, and everybody wants to call and work, and try to manage him and stuff. And I just sit back and laugh because that's where the integrity comes in. If your client is loyal to you, like one of you gentlemen spoke about earlier, a lot of people get amnesia. You work with them in the beginning, they start making some money and some fame. There's artists that get amnesia. And they say, you know, I'm cool, and then they go on to someone else, and they think the grass is green on the other side. It's the same thing with a girl or being married to someone. Sometimes the grass is not greener on that other side. And you should stick to the people that believed in you in the beginning, not the people who believed in you after you got the hit record or got the record deal or got $1 million, you know. And sometimes people want to grow and build a team bigger, but you know, I'm a guy from integrity, so I don't condone that type of stuff, but it does happen that you work with an artist in the beginning, and you know, you got to build your team. Like, you know, you go out there and get a booking agent that respects your work and wants to put you out there to do shows. It might be in a small arena, it might be in a bar, it might be opening up for somebody, but if someone's going to fight for you and push for you to make you become who you need to be as an artist, then you know that's what you need to stick with, because you know, don't get with people who just want to jump on the bandwagon after. It's all right to grow and build your team afterwards, but you know, I'm a stern believer in, like, I get turned off if someone's disrespectful and not loyal and gets amnesia after someone put all that hard work in, because you know, we got bills. And when you're working with an artist in the beginning, they're not really making no money. You know, I'm 52 years old. You know, I know I look 38, thank you, but, you know, I had no balance. I was traveling the world with artists. Like, I seen the world of Sean Kingston. I worked with Sean Kingston for 5 years. I seen the world. I didn't know what Prague was. I didn't know what Beirut was. I didn't know what Perth, Australia was. I seen the world with him. But it was a gift and a curse, this music business, because I'm not married. I have no children. So I had no balance. That's the biggest, hardest thing in this game, is having balance, because you love what you do, you're in the studio grinding, you're on the road, you're touring, you're traveling, it's all high for you. Where I come from, I wasn't supposed to make it. So I'm like, damn, I'm seeing the world. I could never afford to see the world I'm on. Damn, I'm around all these cool people. Some are bullshit, some are good, you know? Seriously, like not every well, I feel like we're all celebrities. I hate when someone says, oh, that's the VIP over there, or that's such and such. Like, really? Like, we're all the same. We're all gonna die one day, we all bleed. So at the end of the day, like that was the biggest problem that I had. I never had balance, and I have that regret now because when I lost my mom and I went to go bury her, everybody got rich and famous wasn't even there. So you know what I mean? So you have to pick and choose sometimes your battles, and I'm just saying to you guys out there, make sure you have balance, man, because life is more than just money and working like a dog. And you know, family time is important, and doing things that you enjoy outside of your business. Because we all say we're grinding and we're hustling, but then you know, at the end of the day, God forbid I pass tomorrow, like my whole life was fucking work. Life is bigger than that. So that's the biggest thing to me is having balance.
Yeah, it's kind of like winning. Yeah, give it up for Steve. It's kind of like if you win the lottery, you got a lot of fake friends that come out. Those are like the managers, the fake friends, the fake managers. They all want to jump on the party when the cash cow
I
comes.
say I'd rather be feared than loved. I know who loves me, you know, for me. Not loves me for who I am or what I do. I know who loves me for Steve Lobel and his heart and his soul and his giving back. Because I'm a giver, I'm not a taker. So
It's great stuff. Ben, why don't you talk a little bit about, again, some of the great relationships that you've seen in the industry where those, you know, managers and artists had that, you know, deeper bond or that, you know, really undying, you know, loyalty. I know, for instance, Alice Cooper and our Superman friend, I don't think they've had a contract in 50 years, huh? And by the way, Alice is headlining the Greek Theater on Sunday night during IES.
Well, I don't think any manager gets involved with an artist thinking it's a short-term situation, because especially at the beginning, it's going to be 3 years minimum, maybe sometimes, to get anything launched. If it's a new artist, and if they're already successful, you know, the projects get bigger, a lot more work, and years go by. You know, so it's a long-term proposition on both sides. And from a legal perspective, you're going to have a contract probably with a manager. Some people do handshake deals. Most don't. I mean, as a lawyer guy, I probably recommend you have something in writing between you and the manager, just so you have some kind of understanding, even if it's a one-page thing as to how many years is this person going to be managing, what's their commission going to be? Are they going to make 15%, 20% of what you make from your entertainment?
Yeah, I wasn't inferring that that's the way to go. I just mean the deep bonds, the incredible relationships that went beyond the contract.
Well, right, but it's just, yes, what I'm saying is you've seen some manager relationships, like the guy who managed Sting for many years, Miles Cope, I think, like, you know, right, 25, 30 years. The guy that manages Bob Seger, 50 years, they're still together. I mean, but that's the rarity. What I see, the sad part of it is a lot of times people are together and then something weird happens and then they split for whatever reason, and it all kind of goes down the drain a lot of times after that. But I think the end game is for everybody to have a close long-term relationship, and it's weird and I'm not a manager anymore, but I think there's a fine line there when you are a manager, and these guys can probably say, like, how close do you want to be to the client, because it's a business relationship, but you don't want to be so buddy-buddy where, again, you have to make some hard decisions sometimes, and artists have to understand the manager's looking out for their best interests, so you have to trust their judgment a lot of times and kind of follow their directions. But I think the artists that have the longest career with the manager, that they have, like I said, they have a good partnership and there's a lot of trust, but that might take a few years to develop, because when you first meet somebody, you don't have a crystal ball about where it's going to go. Everybody thinks it's all great, and sometimes it is and sometimes it isn't, but there's going to be ups and downs, and you have to hang in there, and just everybody has to keep going for, you know, the gold, you know. But most management relationships don't seem to last that long in my experience. They just don't. But I think we're all in this business to win and believe that, you know, we're going to have a successful situation. So a lot of that's just both sides have to just work. You know?
Eddie, we've seen the advent of these firms, like he was talking about, you know, the primary waves and we just Red Light and these companies. And there was one called The Firm and The Collective and all that. What are the advantages you see, because I know your daughter's involved with that firm, as far as having a collective like that, as opposed to having a hands-on manager who's like one-on-one with you?
I don't know if the concept works like it's supposed to. They get so big, Maverick and Irving Azoff. You know, I love Irving, but he says to me usually goes, "Are you still in the music business?" You know, so you have to be careful about that business. But the reason that it works, when I was a record guy at Columbia and Epic Records for the 7 years I was there in New York, the camaraderie of having a roster and being able to help each one of your clients make sense. Like, you know, Steve and I probably know Kevin Miles, those kind of crazies. All those guys, when they had a lot of juice and they had an act that was coming up, they could use one act that was happening to get the baby acts to do something. So that part of it works. But as far as the management business as it is now, I think the word management is an ugly word because all of us that are managers or babysitters, we don't even like to use the word managers anymore. We're pretty much partners with the act. We have to be their partner, or we have to be their business associate. The manager part of it is, it's got a bad rep because the fact is it's a pain in the ass. But if you love the client, you're going to find a way to do business with them and be in business with them. And anything you have to do. I mean, Steve was talking about, you know, bailing people out of jail or whatever, all this stuff. I've had to do all the same things too for young kids, and you go, what book did you read to get into that zone? But that part of it is the unglamorous part. The glamorous part is if you got a client and you're his partner, that's probably the better way to do that. I've seen it change. The bigger companies, they're no different than a record company that has millions of artists, and the top artists get the service and the bottom ones don't. It's like an agency. You know, you want the baby acts to get booked as much as the headliners, but it's arithmetic and it's business and bills to pay and all that kind of stuff. So having too many people on a roster, I think, makes a difference. But it works for those guys because it's a real business, you know, and there's enough cash flow. I mean, Maverick obviously is owned by Live Nation. Live Nation is the biggest concert promoter, you know, that there is in the business. And when you own the venues, you own the acts, and you know, you control the tickets in the world and all the above stuff. You can call that a monopoly to some degree, but then again, us younger guys that started Concerts West and AEG, we should be laughing because there's still a business. Whether it be Nederlander, there's the other, the smaller of the three. All of those things matter, but it really comes down to juice. And you know, if you've got a roster of talent and you can utilize them. For instance, the old days when I was a kid, and I worked with Bruce Springsteen in the very beginning when I was an A&R guy with the guy that signed him, John Hammond. And you know, they would use stuff like, well, if you don't help us with Bruce Springsteen, you can't, you know, you can't get Bruce Springsteen unless you help us with our baby acts. And we'd use every trick in the book to get a record on the radio, to get somebody as an opening act for a show. So as a manager, those are the things you have to do. You got to find somebody that knows how to hustle and that it's not afraid to beg. So that's.
You know, in this game, it's not what you know, it's who you know. Everything's really about relationships, and you should really learn who's who behind the scenes. Because I'm writing a book, it's called A Coach Lasts Longer Than a Player, because I feel like I'm a coach. And you know, I've been with Bone Thugs over 20 years. That's 5 Kanye West, that's 5 Jay-Z's in a group. And that's not easy. And a lot of groups that the gentleman next to me is talking about, it's a lot of rock groups. For some reason, rock and roll guys, they stay with their managers for decades on decades and decades. And not to stereotype the urban game, but the urban game, that's what happens a lot. You know, people forget where they come from, and they leave managers who were there, and guys who funded them in the beginning, and fame gets to them, and you got business people dividing, conquering people, and all that jealousy and hate and devilish stuff. But, you know, I've been with Bone over 20 years. I've been rocking with Nipsey over 14 years. Like, I'm that type of guy. I like to build relationships with my client and get to know who they are, what they like to eat, how they like to travel, what their, you know, pros are, their cons are, and so on and so forth. And this game is a leverage game, you know, and there's a lot of, you know, we do get a bad rap as managers, but I feel like the manager is one of the most important people in the music business right now, besides a songwriter. Because, you know, back in the days, no one really cared about a manager. It was about A&Rs and so on and so forth, and agents. Now, a manager's doing a lot of work, and a lot of these new companies or big companies, they're partnering with the artists, because most managers get 10, 15, or 20%, and we're doing a lot of work, and if the artist's not making no money, we're not making no money. So we're trying any which way to help our artists make money. leverage the artist, get them with someone bigger, get them to work with this one, that one, and as they grow and they get bigger, it's the same circle, it's the same thing. So I really, not here to get credit, but I feel like the managers should get saluted more because we're doing a lot of work and we're fighting, kicking doors open for our artists.
And these days, I've found, I don't know which out there want to be on a major label, for instance, but the major labels are really leaning on the managers now to bring more things to the table than they used to. They want to bring tours and endorsement deals and all kinds of tie-ins and social media, this and that the labels should be doing or used to do, and they don't do it anymore. So really, yeah, the manager has to do it. So the manager's working harder than they ever did.
That's right.
Yeah, they want you to get the fire started and then they'll kick their machine in, but they don't want to kick the machine in if the fire's not started. Eddie, why don't you talk a little bit about, again, the difference now is, obviously there's heritage acts and they have their built-in audience, even if it's diminished from what it was, and you're in the trenches working with new artists right now. As you're developing this new act, you know, with Randy Jackson and everything, what are you seeing as far as some of the new challenges that you can impart on, you know, aspiring artists that they might be able to learn to prepare?
Some of the things I've learned, the younger A&R guys are probably more now nervous than they used to be. A lot of them used to just hide because they made a decision they were wrong, they could get fired. So they don't want to make any decisions. They want everybody else to make it for them. Like Steve said, you know, it's follow the leader. There's not a lot of guys that take the initiative to sign new people. So they're looking, the record companies, the majors are looking for numbers. They're looking for chart positions where they can develop their socials. And if they don't have 6, 7 million views and they don't have, you know, anything trending in any way, shape, or form, or they're not on any platforms, they're probably going to pass and go on to the next one and do that. So as a young new artist getting started, you got to create all that crap yourself before you even get to a label. So if you believe in yourself, you got to go work all of that, and you got to find a way to do it. So it's not, you know, I don't know if that answers your question, but it's a lot different in that respect. Is they want everything done. There's no talent development like there used to be. Labels used to take a shot. When I was an A&R guy, I'm 20 years old. You know, I just wanted to see what it felt like to sign somebody. So we'd sign people, and then we'd have to go beg everybody we work for to help us break them. And then shit, we're going, oh, what do you mean they've never toured? And that's what's happening now with a lot of these kids that come out of the studio. They've never performed in front of an audience. And let me tell you something, record labels look at that and go, how the hell are we going to sell any tickets? We can't sell tickets, we can't sell streams, we can't get anything happening. So you got to get all that stuff done too. So live performance, obviously, is the only income that a manager's going to see. We're not going to make any money in the record business per se. We used to be able to sell units, and that was one thing, and that was always pretty false in the first place. Now it's streaming, and streaming, you know, pays by the pennies, and I'm talking about the minute pennies. And you have to understand what that is. That a million streams doesn't mean shit. It could mean $200. And we're looking like, well, man, a million streams, that's incredible for the week. When you look at what the arithmetic is for those streams, that's one thing. So then it still comes down to if you're a performing artist and you deserve to be recorded, and that's what the labels are going to be looking for.
Wow. What he just said was some jewels. I want to touch on that. The music industry is the wild, wild west right now.
For
There's no rules
musicians
no more. And like you said, A&R,
artists.
they're scared to sign
Okay.
artists because God forbid they flop or they don't sell a record, they lose their job. You know, there's a lot of people still in these record labels being protected from someone else because they couldn't go out on the street and be independent like us and do the stuff. So that, you know, they need that 401k, the health insurance, that steady check, which is diminishing. And those are the dinosaurs that I feel that are just, they don't know how to make it on their own and just be independent. And when I say the game is the wild, wild west, it's like you have to build everything yourself with your team, your manager, before a label even comes to you. And if they do come to you, you might not even want them no more. There's a lot of artists right now saying, I don't need the label. I just need a great booking agent, a merch deal, and I'm gonna make my money that way because, again, there's no money to be made in the industry on record sales. We used to sell 1 million records, that was $10 million. Now you're selling 1 million streams or 1 million views on YouTube is a couple of $1,000. But, you know, that's why the live performance comes in because that's where the money's being made. And that's why artists are touring so much, from 90s artists to 80s artists to even, new artists. They're always touring, and there's so many festivals, because the younger generation wants to go see shows, and older generation wants to see shows, and then they want to go buy the merchandise, because again, the music industry is not selling records like it used to be, and even the money's not the same as far as budgets for producers to get paid. I mean, these young producers, if you're gonna give them 10 grand, they think that's amazing. You know what I mean? But back in the days, producers get $150,000 a track. Now it's like anybody's making tracks on a computer, and it's not even about the production, it's more about the artist right now, and what the artist is doing with their personality on social media, and ranting, and beefing, and screaming, and yelling, and stuff, and that's how people are getting, their records to be sold, by doing crazy stuff, and the industry's condoning a lot of sucker shit, and they shouldn't, because we come from hard work. I used to drive in a van with Fat Joe from New York, and go to Chicago, Detroit, and Cleveland, and go to independent retail stores, and sign autographs, and bring vinyl, and go to college radio and mix show radio. Before we even get to the popular radio station, we needed a record in rotation, and go into the projects giving out t-shirts, and go into the beauty parlors, and go into the barbershops, and go into the strip clubs and the clubs at night to promote records. It wasn't no just send an email with a link, or send an MP3, or get on social media and yell and scream. We literally had to go out there and promote and market records physically, and hug people, and kiss babies, and shake hands, and go to the radio stations, and so on and so forth. Now it's like, oh, just get on your social media and you can promote it yourself. So the game has changed so much, and we have to change with the times. If not, we're dinosaurs. And it seems like these gentlemen know how to change with the times. Some people get stuck in their ways, they're stubborn, and they don't know how to change with the times. I'll tell you one thing, I keep smart people around me. I surround myself with people smarter than me, younger than me, that telling me what's going on. And I take my knowledge and my experience, and I lead the pack with my team from the younger generation telling me what's going on out there, because it's the Wild Wild West.
It's definitely, like I say, what's important is to don't take any of these challenges and what we're talking about to discourage you, because the whole idea of what this exchange of information is to deal with reality. Like I said, if you're out there in a rose-colored, field with, a lot of smoke and mirrors, somebody telling you it's easy, you're gonna be a big star, you're gonna be rich and famous, that's not doing you a service. That is setting you up for failure. And every year we talk about the success stories. When I just talked about Joe Bonamassa selling out the Greek Theater and four-walling it, these are independent artists. They're putting their money where their mouth is, and believing in themselves, and building their fan base. He's not even on the radio. Most people don't even know who Joe Bonamassa is. But if I told you made a couple $100,000 playing the Greek Theater the other night, you want to know his name and how he did it, and how can you follow in those footsteps. So a lot of what we talk about is the independent success stories. We talked about earlier the tortoise and the hare. Everybody wants to be the hare. Everybody wants to be, famous and on the Tonight Show tonight and this and that. But if you didn't earn it, if you didn't get there the right way and built the longevity and have the team, it can go away as fast as it came, even if it did happen. So what we're talking about is the sustainability. And a lot of these old rock bands, again, they're not even focused on new music, and I'm sure with Bone, they're focused on playing shows. Whether a new song took off or not, they're gonna make their money on their shows and their old fans and the merch and all that. So obviously as new artists, it's vital to have great reactionary music. You gotta have music that moves the needle, that people are talking about, that you're gonna go out there and they wanna see your show, and you start building. So don't be afraid of the building of the slow growth. The tortoise wins the race. Sure, it's great if it's easy and then somebody hits you with a magic wand, sprinkles some magic dust, and the fairies take you away. But guess what? That's not gonna happen. So it's really, again, the love of the craft of making great songs, recording great songs, performing for people, the exchange of fans loving what you do and growing with you, and you expanding your creativity. And a lot of these ideas that we talk about in these panels, that's really what it comes down to, is you have to be confident in yourself, and you have to love what you do. Even if you're gonna go get a major manager like any of us behind you, you better, number one, exude confidence. Like Ben said, you better be able to work harder than the manager does. Getting a record deal doesn't mean you kick back and they do the work. Any of these guys will tell you, If a company invests in you, they want to just see you skyrocket in your workload, your capacity, your touring, all of that. They would expect you to be a superhuman for them to keep fueling the fire. So I think that's what's really important these days. Now, Steve, what has changed in the streaming world? Obviously, shows are shows, bookings. You know, everybody's looking for the hot producer with the hot hand. But how have you seen the work ethic or any type of, approach change in the streaming world?
I mean, like I said, I want to say this to everybody. It's all about the music at the end of the day. If you got great music, it's going to connect with the people, and then you're going to be able to build your brand. And the brand is when the consumer's emotionally attached to you. That's why we attach to McDonald's or Adidas or Rolex or, Marlboro or, 7-Up or whatever the case might be. And because you know why? Because a lot of artists out here, they changing because they're changing with the time, or they'll, change their look, or they'll change their music because that sound is in, or they want to wear and look like the artist that's hot right now. You should always be yourself. A lot of artists are switching up just to try to blend in, and then people catch that and they're never building a brand. So it starts with the music. But as far as what Jay asked me about the streaming thing is that, look, I come from 8-track, cassettes, vinyl, 45s, CDs, ringtones, digital downloads, and now you're streaming. Again, if you can't change with the times, then you're just a dinosaur, and you're stuck in your ways, and you're never gonna survive. So, you got Apple, you got Tidal, you got Spotify, so on and so forth. You got YouTube, but there's like $3,000-4,000 every million views. And again, the younger generation that's hot right now, they don't know what the people paid in the past and made for record sales or production. These days, yeah, of course, you want to get the hot producer, but there's so many hot producers right now because these young kids is getting on the computer and making some stuff, and the kids are getting on there and doing what they're doing, and it's blowing up. So the day of let's go call these legendary producers is really harder, especially getting paid the money they used to get paid. That's been the biggest challenge with me working with Scott. But there's artists really respect their craft, and there's some other artists out here just here for the moment, and they're only gonna last for the moment. And they're using social media fame to become big, and then you put out a record, and if you can't get 10% of your 14 million followers to stream that record, then something's wrong. They just following you for the buffoonery or whatever you're doing on that. But again, the game has changed, and record labels are not doing no artist development. They're not spending money like they used to on artist videos and promo tours. And a lot of these artists, they just being creative themselves and just letting it fly. And the labels just there to give a little bit more of a push. But the younger artists, they're out there touring, making a lot of money and selling merch and getting a lot of things going on. Now as far as with Bone Thugs and a lot of these other, I went to see Foreigner the other day. Mick Jones is a friend of mine, and it sold out, and they just toured. Bone Thugs does 4 shows a week. Doesn't matter about putting new music out. The fans don't really care about that. And the new generation certainly doesn't. We're on a new Wiz Khalifa album that just dropped a month ago, and it created a little bit of buzz, but no big deal. So they have to stay on the road, So it's a difference from the artists that from then to now. The newer artists got to compete with the older artists, so to speak. The older artists got to compete with the younger artists, but the older artists got to work harder than the younger artists these days because they have no access to make no money except being on the road. So when you're in your 40s and you got to be away from your family doing 4 shows a week, then your body starts going out eventually, you know what I mean? And the younger artists, they just getting drugged up and high and they loving it. They're going out on the road and it's new to them and they just love it. No, it's real talk. There's a lot of artists out here, back in the days, the artists would talk about drugs, but they would talk about it differently. Now everybody's, bragging that they're doing drugs and lean and stuff, and that's gonna kill some of these artists. A lot of people are gonna die, and they'll learn the hard way. You could take the horse to the water, but you can't make it drink. I've always told every artist I work with, the first thing you should do is buy a piece of real estate. Now I gotta get that chain, I gotta get the car, I gotta go do this and that, and then they regret it years later because they don't own anything. It's the same thing with this younger generation right now. They're just trying to compete with the jewelry and drugs and not knowing that none of this shit lasts forever. Everything goes up, must come down. We've seen the best of them come up and come down, and you ain't high forever, and nothing lasts forever, and nothing guaranteed but death. So you should surround yourself with good people, positive people, real people. A lot lot of people around yes men and excuse my French, dick riders, who are going to tell you what you want to hear, and you don't want to be around that. And the entourage is telling you the wrong things, and you're just going with it and they're egging you on, and then years go by and you're just broke. You might wind up dead. You might be in some big beef and you can't get out of it. So, you know, I always try to tell people, like, surround yourself with good people, work hard, and stay positive, and hopefully, you know, the rest is in God's hands, because God is great.
Just one thing just to keep in mind, if you're an artist, the artists I know that get paychecks and can retire are the ones that write. They write songs, they write music, because if you're just a singer, your record's gonna go, you know, it has a lifespan like that. Songs live forever, they get sampled. You know, the other artists
Get in
they're
movies,
used in
get
movies,
licensed.
TV, so even if you're only getting 5 or 10% of a song in the studio, try to get a co-write on things that you're doing. It's really, really important. Of course, not if you're a crappy writer, you gotta be good, but really strive to learn to be a writer, or kind of be assertive to get on those songs, because that's really where the money is. It's long term. You know?
It's funny, I said earlier, I said the most important people in the industry out there is managers and writers. The songwriter is the most valuable person. Why? Because your favorite artists are having writers write for them. And I never managed the producer, but managing Scott now, I saw the value, how valuable a songwriter is. And they might have the fame or the visuals, but they're getting that check. Especially if you have 5, 20, 15, 30% of a big song, man. So you're out there writing a song, and if you're an artist and you're a dope songwriter, sometimes you might not be able to be the artist, but you know what? Get yourself in the rooms to write for some artists, get with the publishers, get with A&Rs, build relationships with managers, other artists, and try to get in there and get in where you fit in. And I'm telling you, the songwriters is really capitalizing right now.
Yeah, it's like an annuity, something you do today, you can be getting checks from 5, 10, 15, 20 years from now. A lot of these legendary catalogs have sold and even resold, you know. Publishing catalogs are like a great piece of real estate, you know. We had James Leach on earlier, who, you know, ran Michael Jackson's publishing. Michael would have gone broke, you know. At one point he was touring less, you know, buying Neverland and all this stuff. And it was that publishing catalog, like James said, that created that income that constantly came. You might buy something for X and sell it for X, Y, and Z. And now you can keep flipping that. But as a writer, again, these days you can get admin deals, which means you're not giving the ownership of that song away. You're actually giving the opportunity to license and run that. They make their cut, but more importantly, they have given you that whole ability to continue to own your property, and that's really, really important. Why don't you guys talk anything you can about, you know, the merchandising business, even on a smaller scale, even if you're playing in smaller clubs, how you might be able to kindle that, you know, that T-shirt business, and what we all know the Tech Nines and the 500 items he has, but you know, what can you, what have you seen or been creatively that people besides a T-shirt or a hat may have started to sell, that now all of a sudden they're equaling almost what they might be making playing live, but it's also like a walking billboard. It's going out there and they become kind of a cult item.
Let me address some of it. I have this one artist I manage, he's a YouTube guy, and he just didn't know what to do with himself. He was a singer in a big choir, and that was all great. And he started doing covers on YouTube, and it turned into something. So now he can probably sell anything. He's got a suit company. You know, it's Alex Boy's London Suits, which is insane, and he's blowing it up. Everything they make, they sell. And he never had that a couple of years ago. So he created his own market. You guys could do the same things in your life on your own site. You can sell your stuff. You can sell your music. You can sell, you know, your T-shirts. You can sell tickets to your events. That's what I meant by a level playing field. And some of the stuff we're talking about is probably over your heads because you guys are not in the record business yet, and we are. And we manage people that are in the record business. But new people that can do this stuff, you can do all this stuff yourselves. You just have to study it, like, you know, with the stuff that Steve's doing, or Ben's doing, or Jay's doing, or I'm doing. You know, you can look at that, and you can actually make it happen for yourself on a smaller scale. It doesn't have to take the world on in a week. And then if somebody recognizes one of your songs or one of your demos is worth of shit, then you got a business to talk about. But I think taking baby steps and creating your own content is still the best advice we can give. Is, you know, don't talk about it, just do it. Put it up there so people can hear it, see it, and touch it. Thank you.
But these days, because of the internet, if you have any kind of fan base, you can ask your fans, what do you want me to make? What do you want? What would you buy? They'll tell you. I mean, you don't want to make stuff that nobody's going to buy anyway. I mean, historically, people bought T-shirts and hats and those things. Probably still, when you go to a famous person's concert, that's what they're selling. Sometimes for $50 for a T-shirt. That's a pretty good business model. It might cost $2 to make it. You're going to buy them, you know. So that's one way of approaching it if you're new. Once you're famous, of course, the quality is very important. If you're going to make something, it has to be quality. You can't just cut corners and sell shit because that's going to reflect badly on you. So, but I don't know. There's just a lot of unique ways. I mean, there's a million different things. Anything you can think of, you could market, manufacture today. But I'm just saying, I think historically most people still want a T-shirt, which is, you know, people Metallica. People are walking around with those shirts, Motley Crue shirts, Ramones shirts. Even today, it's like, and even you go into JCPenney and Sears, they're selling those on the rack. They're selling those on the rack. I mean, it's pretty amazing. But you got to establish yourself that you can make it a brand.
You know, I used to scalp tickets for like Led Zeppelin, Aerosmith, Van Halen, Iron Maiden, Judas Priest. And I wasn't into it, but I would scalp the tickets. And then sometimes I was left with some tickets, I would go to the concert. And I would love the music. And I would go buy those shirts that were like solid hit with the sleeves and had all the tour dates on the back. And I was like, wow, this is crazy with the merchandise. And then when I was able to go on tour with Tech Nine and Insane Clown Posse, I was like, what the hell is going on here? These guys are doing $30,000, $40,000 a night in merchandise, more than the guarantee. I'm like, whoa. So, you know, they would sell like at least 10 items. You know, now it's like online, so now so many people sell stuff online, and then you could do deals with PacSun and Tilly's and stuff like that. And yeah, all apparel and hats. Now it could be knapsacks, socks, lighters, keychains. Back in the days, you know, when I worked at a label, I used to work at Sony as an A&R, there was a lot of big merch companies that would come around and they would give artists deals and give them advances, and then they would do the tours. I got smarter, and then we found some young guys and we created a business now. We have Life Apparel and all the Bone tours and DJ Quick and DJ Paul. We do it all the shirts, the hats, everything. And then we go out on the road with a van, we bring the stuff, and the company does charge back a little bit for expenses. They count the merch in, they work out the splits with the venues depending on, you know, what venue they're at. But merch is huge. Look, if you travel the world, there's 2 T-shirts that you'll always see that are huge. That is Run DMC and Guns N' Roses. Always. You could be in Japan, you could be in Africa, you could be in, you know, Philippines. You'll see that. And I got smart. I took all my old school pictures and I put them on T-shirts now, and I'm selling a gang of shirts. It's called the Industry Connect, and I got pictures with Biggie and Bone and Fat Joe and so many different, you know, Pac, so many legendary pictures that I had before social media. I got smart and I started putting them on T-shirts, and it's called the Industry Connect, and I'm selling a lot of them. So merchandise is a big key right now, and it's been for a long time. It's just probably more popular now, but people are buying hoodies for like $80 and crazy merchandise stuff. The young kids want to come with their money and buy stuff. So merchandise is very important. But a lot of times if you sign to major, they're going to take a piece of your publishing, your merchandise, and your touring. And that's where ancillary rights come in. A lot of people don't understand either, because you're not selling records, so they want a piece of all that now.
I used to work for a guy named Elvis Presley, and I went out with Colonel Parker, and we had guys out there selling bootleg T-shirts. And he goes, "Come on with me." I go, "What?" He says, "Bring that basket." I go, "Seriously?" So I had a laundry basket. We went out there, and he said, we went to all the bootleggers. He said, "We're going to make a deal. You guys are going to give us half the money, we're going to put you in jail." Well, I'd be damned if they didn't put half that money in that bag, and we came back and brought it back backstage, and he divided it up with Elvis.
All about management. So move on in here. Eddie, if you need to bow out. Please give it up for the legendary Eddie Winery. Appreciate it. Thank you so much. Appreciate it, brother. Thank you. All right, so questions. We've got some brains up here, and we want to know what you guys want to know, again, about the management process, about the development of artists' careers. Who's got the first question?
For either one of you. I'm a singer first, songwriter. I used to sing back on Frankie Valley for I'm now learning the business side of the business, and I just recorded my first contemporary pop gospel album. And I'm just now learning social media, which I hate. But this is my question. I know record companies are not signing deals right now, but I need to know more about the 360 deal. There's other deals that they offer. The 360 deal, don't they own everything when it's a 360? Can
wanna
you guys
explain the 360?
elaborate
Yeah.
on the deals that they?
Well, the reason they, and yeah, he just mentioned it a little bit, it's because they're not making as much money on records anymore. Like they used to, like CDs we used to sell for $15. That's a lot. Probably couldn't even buy the single yet, buy the album single. So they were making money hand over fist. Now, especially with new artists, they're like, well, we're not going to spend $1 million developing an artist if we can't make some money back, because we're not selling CDs anymore. You can't even buy them. Streaming is a penny business. So in order to make it relevant for them to put in the risk, they're going to want a piece. They're going to want a piece of other things. So when you're an artist, you can make money off touring, merchandising, songwriting, endorsements, acting, modeling, any kind of thing like that. The label wants to grab it. If they're going to put money into you now and you're new, unfortunately, it's all about leverage. Yeah. So if you don't have much leverage, you're going to have to take a deal like that. But you have to give to get, right? But if you're already famous and established, you don't have to do a 360 deal. But I know that's not where you're at. But it's just sort of the business as usual now for the majors, you know? Because they have to do it that way.
I mean, they feel like if they're going to invest a brand that's unknown and create it known, they want to share in all the revenue streams. Now, if you're Kiss and you go to Doc McGee and say, I'll give you 3% to manage me, Doc may say, I'll take it. Because they're already established. 3% of tens of millions of dollars is a lot different that's already being generated as opposed to taking something from 0 to 100. So again, a 360 deal can be good if they're investing in the right areas. And
they're going to put their money into investing. Because it's always better to get 50% of something than 100% of nothing. So that's the way I look at it. And not that it's that bad of a split, but if you're with Disney, for instance, it is that bad. But they're taking little kids that don't have anything, turning them into stars, so they do take 50%. But anyway, it's just, things are negotiable, and and that's what you always try to do, the shortest term deal you can, so maybe you have some leverage, cut a better deal next time.
That's why I get a lawyer.
If you come into getting a record contract, you already have a product, you already have an album, the record company has to supply, and you own the copyright of the album. How can you negotiate? Should you split 50-50?
Well, the one thing you want to do in that situation is do a licensing deal, because you own it, you paid for it, so they don't give them the rights. Just do a deal where they'll put it out, market it, promote it. Yes, they'll take maybe half the money or whatever, maybe more, maybe less, but you get to own the product because you paid for it. Normally, when artists sign with labels, they don't have any money, so that they expect the label to pay for the production, and that's why the labels historically owned everything, because they paid for everything.
Yeah, there's labels out here giving artists deals, but there's the way you structure it. You can do a distribution deal, you can do a joint venture, P&D deal, it's all an artist deal. It all depends what you're trying to do, but I've seen a lot of artists these days just do it independently and build everything themselves. And then, whatever the label's gonna do for you, it's a loan anyway, you don't have to pay it back. And you can go to an Empire, you can go to an E1 and do a distribution deal with an upstream, so on and so forth. So it's all about what you negotiate, so on and so forth. And to everybody out here, you came out here to IES convention to learn, and we have a lot of knowledge and a lot of experience with things we've done that, you should all ask some questions, because, knowledge is everything, and soak up that game, because, like I said, I surround myself with smarter people, and I ask questions a lot. I do talk a lot, but I do ask a lot when I'm around people that I feel that got some knowledge that I need. So please, ask some questions to us.
I gotta tell a story real quick. First year IES, sitting over here. You guys probably don't know who Violet Brown is, but Steve Lobel will tell you, Violet Brown's probably got about 600-700 gold and platinum albums on her wall. You couldn't have a hit record in urban business without Violet Brown bringing your record in. And it blew me away. She spoke with Jerry Heller and everybody
Rest in
on a
peace.
great panel and knocked it out of the park. And he was very smart in saying, so many people are running after the rapper. Here, check out my music. But they could pass Jerry, they could pass Violet Brown walking down the street, who could actually do something for them, and they think, who is this old white person? I don't even know who this person is. And it blew me away. I'm out here like we're doing right now. Next question, next question. I look in the third row. Violet Brown is sitting there taking notes on a panel after she had spoken, and I'm saying that's one of us, that you can never have enough knowledge. If you gain one tip from this right now, you're smarter than you were an hour ago.
Knowledge is everything, and to be honest with you, like, no one never knows who anybody is. And like I said earlier, only God could judge, but I notice a lot of people, they'll fly in for BET weekend, and they'll run right to the Playhouse Club on Hollywood Boulevard just because they see that, an artist is gonna be there, and thinking that's gonna change their life. But meanwhile, you don't really know about the private party or the industry party where the real people are who could change your life. The artists are worried about themselves. Not every artist is a businessman. Jay-Z's an artist and a businessman, but not everybody thinks like that. So most artists are in the club trying to have fun, look for girls, pop bottles. They're not worried about you saying, hey, check out my tape, or yo, can I get in the studio with you? So you guys should really know who's who in the music business, and that can change your life and help you and give you especially knowledge, you know what I mean? Because again, that's why I said, like, the coach lasts longer than the player. Guys like us, we're still around 30 years later because we know the music business and we know how to navigate through it. And you guys should understand that. And no one's always, listen, if you're racist and you stereotype people and you judge people, don't get in the music business. Matter of fact, don't even try to live life. And I speak at a lot of schools, and I sit in these high schools, and I see a lot of segregation. And at the end of the day, I tell them, like, when you graduate from high school and you're going into the real world, you're dealing with all types of people: Jewish, Italian, Irish, Black, Spanish. And if you don't know how to deal with the real society and the real world, even though we know out here there's some racism and people stereotyping and people doing what they do, but the real world, you got to deal with a lot of people in the music industry. A lot of the Caucasian people running the business, they white or Jewish or Italian, and at the end of the day, most of the artists are Afro-American, or they're white, or they're Latino, but we all get along. Like some of my best friends, my mom, rest in peace, she let everybody in my door, my house. So you have to be able to deal with all types of people. You can't judge and be racist and stereotype people. You won't get far. It's real talk. I'm telling you, the music industry, the music real business, it's all types of people. Go to a real industry music business party, and you're gonna see all types of people. That go to a club on Hollywood Boulevard, you just might see one type of person there. I'm a white guy going to South Central every day in the neighborhood, Roman 60 Crip neighborhood with Nipsey and my partner Big U. I know how to adapt and deal with people. Then I'm meeting with Jimmy Iovine, or I'm meeting with Mike Karen or Craig Kalman. So you have to know how to deal with people. You have to know how to walk into a meeting and have a meeting with this man who's an attorney. I don't even want to put him on the spot. That's why he's not managing no more. He's probably smarter than me. But at the end of the day, you got to be able to go and meet with an attorney and not be drunk and not show up late and not smell like weed. You got to be able to present yourself like it's a real business. Like you're going to buy a house or a car, you handle yourself like a business person. You got to take this shit serious and do business.
Well, just two things. If you're a performer, just like if we're up here performing, you never know who's in the audience. It might be one person in the audience. You got to do a great show. That person might be somebody important or knows somebody important that can spread the word. So it's always important to just make sure whatever you're putting out there is professional. But even if you're going to a store, you're going to a club or to a party, try to be professional always, because people are watching you. They're always watching you, especially if you're a performer, and you don't ever know who you're going to meet and who's going to help you. So, just try to be pro at all times.
Yeah, you never know who somebody is. Don't underestimate anybody.
But you have to sort of have this networking machine with your artists. You got to talk. You really have to. It's just part of the business.
I'm glad he said that, Jeff. I'm glad he said that, because I try to tell people that personalities days are trumping talent. If you're not a people's person and you don't know how to work a room and talk to people and really get across what you're trying to do, it's rough. It's really rough. So I go to any place I go, I work that goddamn room, man. I'm trying to get everything done in that room because I never know who I'm gonna run into and deal with. And I'm a people's person. So if you're not a people's person, make sure you got someone next to you who's a people's person that can talk for you and make moves for you.
I just want to say what he said is so important. I helped launch a lot of artists from the early days. I was never afraid to get in early and help grow. There's a little band from Ireland that was considered like a punk rock band. Some people said they didn't even know how to play their instruments. A little band called U2. They broke every stadium record. They had the second biggest tour in history, and sold out the Rose Bowl multiple nights. But their first show we did was out here in Reseda. Everybody knows the Country Club, little place out here at Reseda and Sherman Way. And they had a couple hundred people because K-Rock was starting to play their first single. But second night we went to Orange County, there was half of this people in the crowd for U2. And when I tell you they put on a stadium show, within a year and a half they sold the show in front of 300,000 people at US Festival here in San Bernardino. They didn't care if there were 600, or 6,000, or 60,000. They were there from Dublin, Ireland, and they were going to put on the freaking best show that you've ever felt. And the walls were melting with the energy and the passion they had. And that's how they became the biggest group in the world, still sell out, stadiums and all that. I know we got a question here. Let's keep your questions going. We're wrapping up, guys. About to get in the next panel. Come on.
Okay, so my question is kind of short. I'll keep it short. It's a two-part question, though. I wanted to discuss some of the more innovative revenue streams that you've seen as of late. Considering the CD sales thing is over, streaming is a penny's business. What have you guys seen in the industry that's working today that people are marketing with their brand?
Say it one more time, real quick.
So, just talking about, the clothing and the different types of revenue streams that are associated with an artist's brand. You mentioned a term that exists between clothing designers and artists that are making money with the clothing they're selling now. I forgot the term that you used, but I was just hoping we could touch on that a bit more about kind of some of the ideas and some of the things that you've seen artists, develop as of late, to stay relevant in the industry.
I mean, look, it's all about being innovative and creative. That's all it is. Like, if you're a young artist and you just know that that's who you are and that's what you want to do, you just go out and do it. It's the bottom line. Like, look, we can stereotype some people right now. 6'9" kid, trippy red kid. They got their red hair. They got the crazy tantics. They got the crazy look what they're doing. It's working for some type of fan base. Where I'm from, in New York, you would never, you get killed for looking like that, trying to be a rapper. But again, it's the younger generation that they don't know better, so they buying into it and they loving it. So if you don't like 6ix9ine, no problem. That's your opinion. But you know what? I like J. Cole. You don't like J. Cole? Well, you like Nipsey Hussle. You don't like Nipsey? Well, you like Madonna. You know what I mean? Everybody has an opinion. So if you're a young artist or a producer, you just create the music you want to create. And if you want to build something, listen, everybody we talk about, all these artists, it don't happen overnight. Kendrick Lamar was K-Dot. He was a hype man for J-Rock. I was on tour with him. We were struggling eating pizza and water. Now he's the biggest artist in the game. That's 14 years later. Yeah, 6ix9ine comes out of the blue in a year. He's big right now. He's streaming and making a lot of money. But is that going to stay consistent? That's just one way. So you have to just keep doing things. Merchandise. I started this, right? Who am I? I'm a guy behind the scenes. Who's the manager? I don't got 10 million followers. I got 100,000 followers. People follow me because of me, because they want to buy into me and who I am and what I do and what I promote. So I started my own t-shirt line with pictures from probably before you were born. And whoever's going to buy them, I'm going to buy them. And eventually I'm going to grow it, then I can get into a Tilly's or a PacSun. You know what I mean? I'm not going on tour to sell shirts. I'm not an artist. But you know what? Who's going to tell me, no, I can't do it? I don't take no for an answer. So you just got to go out there. What are you? Are you an artist, producer?
I'm both, yeah.
Okay, so you're both, right? There's a kid named Russ. Russ is incredible to me. You know, the Caucasian kid from Atlanta. He does everything himself. And he's been doing it himself for so long. And I had him recently in with Scott Storch. He's like, I don't even work with producers. You're telling me that's what you're charging me? I never paid for a track in my life. He did it all himself. He sells out 10,000-seat arenas. Carol Lewis is his agent, with no openers. He just kept doing it and doing it and doing it. So whatever you're trying to do, just go do it. Read about it, Google, educate. There's books now, there's things that you could go online. I don't even know how to fix a fucking toilet, but I got online, Google, and I did it. So you just go out there and make it happen. Sir, real talk. And then whatever you need to learn, you can go online and learn right now. And put your music out. Go out there, network, go out there, make shit happen. That's all it is. It's about how hard do you want to work for it, how hard do you want to make it. We come from a world there was rules and regulations in the music industry. You did it this way. An artist got signed. There was no social media. There was no buzz. You believed in that talent. You might have caught a cassette in the mail, and you sign an artist like Fat Joe in New York. And you go and you sign him for a 7-album deal. And you go out there and you make records, and you put his video on MTV, and you spend $1 million on the video, and you hope after the 3rd album, he recoups the money you gave him. And you go out on a promo run. There was so much money spent then. That's a different ballgame now. Now it's just like, just throw stuff out there. There's no rules and regulations. That's why I bump heads with a lot of dinosaurs in this game who are trying to think they know how to do it and stick to the way they're doing it. Those days are over. It's the wild, wild west. No one's gonna know what's gonna work. With all due respect to Cardi B, ain't no one in this room could have told me she was gonna be one of the biggest artists. She comes from love and hip hop. With all due respect, that was like the graveyard of reality shows. Mona's my dear friend. I love the show. They want me on the show. I just don't want to sell my soul. But at the end of the day, no one thought she was gonna be as big as she is. You just never know these days. You gotta go out there and you gotta work. And you're gonna take 1,000,000 no's before you get that big yes. That's all it is.
But all
In
these,
my opinion.
and all these ancillary, unusual extension type of income streams that you can create, you still have to have some kind of fan base first. So you gotta put music out. That's sort of the base, and then or the root, and then everything kind of grows up. You have a lot more options and opportunities to be creative once you have some kind of a following. So I still think you have to put music out and make a video or whatever. And then some of these other, because you could make a bunch of t-shirts, but if there's nobody to buy it, or a cool earring or whatever, nobody wants to buy it, what's the point, you know?
Yeah, you out here to promote yourself and put out some music. And it's so easy to do it these days. Like, so easy. You can find a young college kid that knows how to work a camera and shoot some visuals. You can find a photographer to take pictures. You can use them on your social. What kills me is people on Instagram saying they rappers and singers, and all you see on Instagram is their selfies. But why don't you just take a picture, even if you've got a front and act, go in the studio and take a picture behind a mic, or do something, stand on stage, or do something that at least that the follower could buy into if you're really selling music, or you're just selling yourself, or the way you look. Everybody's a model these days. I dated models that used to do runway and were signed to like Ford models and got paid doing, print work. Now everybody's a model. Everybody's this, everybody's that. That's why I say personalities trump talent these days. Everybody's getting on social media and going reckless. You know what I mean? So, to each his own. Some of it's going to get people killed. Some of it's going to help people's brand build. Some of it's going to get caught up, different things. But, like, whatever you're trying to do, sir, like, just go out there and get it done.
There's obviously a correlation between music and art. And our friend Stephen Adler, who you brought up, we inducted him in the very first IES. He and a lot of these drummers have now, if you've seen it, this company gets the triggers along with the drumsticks, and it creates patterns on these canvases. And they frame it up and have it in galleries, and you can have Stephen Adler drumming along to Appetite for Destruction, or, this great drummer, drumming to that. And not everybody's artistically inclined, but your audience may get off on you making little sculptures or, paintings or things like that. So again, your extension of your creativity from your music to your fashion or your, fine art is definitely a factor. We got time for one more question before we make this split. We've got some incredible minds here. Is this it?
Sure.
You got it?
Yeah.
Bring it on.
So my worst fear as an artist and a songwriter, even more than being completely unknown, is that I sign to a label and they force me to be something I'm not, and I lose all sense of originality and who I was when I first started. How do you go about navigating that when you have something important to say, but they just want to monetize you as a brand and put out what's most marketable?
I mean, I think that should be evident before you ever sign, right? I mean, what the vision is.
I think you'd only, number one, if you're going to sign with a label, hopefully the A&R and from even the president on down, like if you're going with Atlantic, a guy named Craig Kalman who heads that up, you want to make sure that they kind of on the same page as you as far as the vision goes. But contractually, if you get to that point, you can put in your agreement what's called creative control. To just say you get to have final say over your imagery, your artwork, the sequence of your songs, the producer. Now it's not always that easy to get, But still, if you really dig in your heels and they want you, yeah, Prince did it. But at least, I think primarily, go stick with the image. You want to have final say over your image. That's most important. You know, once you've had a hit, you have a lot more clout, and people don't try to push you around anymore.
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, I know years and years ago, you know, you'd want the label to give creative control or even get in to help you because more minds that can help you, you know, people that are professional. These days, a lot of artists, they definitely don't want no creative control because they got to where they got by being who they are. I remember Nipsey Hussle, he didn't want no one to touch his creative control. And the label kept telling me, he needs to hit radio records. Like, no, I don't. Hit radio records gonna make me a one-hit wonder. I'd rather build my brand, and then get that hit years later. So it's a fine line right there when it comes to a label. I hate when labels try to take creative control for something that they went and signed because they saw that creative person being who they were. If they want to add value to the creativity or make it, you know, more better, stylish or visual and stuff like that, I get it. But to take away, you know, creative control is a tough situation. And again, they might say, hey, you know what, your production's great, but we could add some value to the production. And you might say, well, the production could add. Or they might say, you know what, maybe you need a feature or maybe a little co-write. They should just only want to help and not take away. Any more questions?
Hey, very last one. Hey, Chris, come here for a second. Hey,
One more
last question.
I'd be asking so many questions if I was y'all, man, if I was sitting in front of y'all.
One last question. You got one, Darren? Who's got the last question? No.
Who wants the mic?
Any questions?
Anyone.
You was R&B, you was in A&R.
I was in AR at one point, yes.
Now, when you're watching your artist on the stage and he doesn't have a big crowd out there, what are you looking at if you really like the song and you really like the artist?
I mean, back in the days, if I was looking to sign an artist, I was looking to sign an artist based off of, you know, their stage presence, their interaction with people, their swag, their music, their hard work, their integrity, all that, you know what I mean? I'm scared to deal with artists these days because I feel like no one's got integrity or loyalty and they're just gonna get amnesia real quick. So I'm very nervous. So I usually consult more than just manage because, you know, I'm getting older, I wanna live life too. But if you're an artist, I'm being honest with you, like shit, I'm not gonna die tomorrow and just be like, just work. I put 30 years in this game and helped a lot of people, but I gotta live my life too. It's about me as well. And I'm not selfish, you know. To be honest with you, if I'm going to a spot and I'm watching an artist perform, if an artist I work with or not, man, if the artist can't really do a live performance, I'm not dealing with that person, you know. And you know, you can make, you know, a lot of artists make them better on stage to be a better live performance. It's rehearsals, it's practice, it's being innovative, it's like adding stuff to the show. So, you know, live performance is everything, man, because first impression is everything. So there's a lot of people doing showcases and they're inviting out A&Rs or managers or lawyers or brands, and you go up on stage and you don't know how to perform and make a fool of yourself, they're gonna like, you can't even carry a show. Why would I even want to deal with that person?
Okay, guys, that is a wrap. I want to please give it up for Ben McLean and Steve LaBelle. You got your picture, you got your camera.
Thanks again, Jay.
All right, we're gonna do a little photo here, photo op as always. Appreciate these guys coming.